One thing that goes to the wayside a lot of the time in sports is the importance of cognitive information that you're being fed subconsciously. I'm not talking like some corporate America is feeding some narrative into your mind. I'm talking sports graphics. Have you ever broken down a sports graphic that they tried to present to you in a pleasing way? Designers spend hours over a hot computer trying to create a graphic that's A, informative, B, pleasing to the eye, and C, gets the point across very, very quickly. Sports graphics can be very simple. Like during a football game, all you see is the score, the quarter you're in, and the time on the clock. That's it. But this is where it gets a bit interesting. So what can you guys tell me about this sports graphic?
Well, I mean, the designer's obviously driving a narrative, whether that's in a positive or negative light for each fighter. It makes people start talking about the differences, the obstacles each fighter has to overcome, whether that be the age, the height, the reach. And then you could even look at like the odds, like what other people are thinking is going to happen. You know, this guy's so much more favored that you're going to make less money betting on him. So, but it gets people talking, and from a designer's point of view, like that's a great graphic, especially when it's only up for a minute at max. So
yeah, I mean, from like a designer's point, you got to see both these fighters side by side, telling a story of how the matchup is going to be like, almost like a video game character select.
Yeah, I mean, it fills out the composition really well.
Right.
All men are created equal, but are all graphics?
With social media becoming such a big staple for success now, it's very important that you kind of get the information out quick. No social media manager wants to be the last one to the party. So sometimes quality control kind of goes out to the window, and it results in some really bad graphics getting made. And I mean bad. I have seen some bad graphics. Let me show you. All right, so here is my example of a terrible graphic. I obviously don't have to tell you why this does not work.
How do you go about fixing something like that?
I don't even know. I'm kind of speechless, actually.
I mean, it's not good. This is what I'm talking about, where you have to have a little bit of awareness as a social media manager and not get too carried away with putting your brand beside such a tragic event. I mean, you have 20 years later in the tweet, hashtag never forget. That's already risque. These things need proofed.
Maybe just the logo and never forget.
That's it. Like,
make it simple.
People tried too hard to put their brand in these special events, and it sometimes really tarnishes the company. Luckily, they were kind of quick, and they did take this down shortly after, but not good. Not good. So, I'd really like to get maybe an outside opinion on this.
Hey guys, what are we looking at here?
Take a little peek at this graphic here. And let me know what you think about it. What's wrong with it?
Everything.
Well, how do you fix it?
You simply delete it.
Ooh, I got one to look at. So what do you guys think of this one?
This one hurts my brain. Don't know where to start, don't really know where it ends. Like, I know what they're going for. It's one of those I was too creative kind of graphics.
Yeah, I mean, like, some things, I understand they're bolded, but like you're kind of missing out of like, a whole information.
Keep it simple, stupid sometimes just works, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So, how do you fix it?
I mean, obviously, you line the text up correctly.
Yeah, I wouldn't be doing this. And I honestly, I don't know if I would do the whole outline of that one word. Kind of lost in the square.
You delete it.
All right, let's see it. We've sat here ridiculing a bunch of other artists. Let's see what you guys can do.
I'll do you one better. We will make a one-of-one graphic. One of a kind. Anything, any sport, any kind of way you want to promote it, it has to be classy and it has to be made for social media. So we put our money where our mouth is.
I love that idea.
Yeah?
Sounds good.
Toby?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's do it. Alright, we'll meet back here once they're all finished.
All right, break.
Alright. So I'm sure the other guys are doing something in terms of esports. Knowing them, I would put money on Toby probably doing Valorant if I had to guess. But I'm also going to head into the online space of gaming. But I'm going to go a little bit more obscure. I'm going to go a little old school. That's right, I'm talking old school RuneScape, or just RuneScape to me. When I was a kid, I used to play this non-stop. It holds a very special place in my heart. Get home from middle school, log on to RuneScape, play for hours, get on Skype, get on AIM, talk with these people that you meet. And it's just kind of the big reason why it's still around today. It's the community. Now, before I get too much more into that, let me just preface this is RuneScape's an MMO. You basically have a ton of different skills that you need to train and gain experience in, and it's kind of like a clicker game if you're familiar with that, but it's extremely old. At least this version of RuneScape is. So one of the skills you basically have to train is agility, and that's kind of what I'm going to cover with my graphic, agility. Now, if you're familiar with RuneScape, agility is not the most fun thing to train. It's very monotonous, you kind of click the same areas, and you gain very little experience. But back in the day, you didn't really know what was the best thing to train for experience. It was just the internet was so young and you just didn't know. So you would wander around this massive world finding different things to give you experience points. And one thing I stumbled upon was Gnome Ball. Now Gnome Ball is most definitely by no means anywhere near a good training method inside the game. You get very little experience and it takes a long time to get that experience. So for that reason, it's not very good. But as a kid, you don't know that. You're just going there, you're playing in this arena with these gnomes, and you're scoring points. And that's why it was fun to me. It was breaking away from the monotonous click here, click here, click here. It kind of gave you something new. It gave you a way to interact with an NPC that you normally wouldn't be able to. And so for that, I'm going to give Gnome Ball the justice it deserves. Because damn it, it gave me so many memories. So like I was saying earlier, the community really is paying it forward these days. There's so much support for all these different players. This was initially a client made for the players, by the players. And it's been incredible. It doesn't really cheat, but it kind of gives you a lot of quality lives that would probably need to have in today's gaming environment. As you can see, it's really old. It's a very old style game, like 2006 to 2010. It looked like this, but it really has that charming appeal to it. Just look at those gnomes in there. So yes, I have us at the gnome field already, and like I said, this being a third-party client, it gave other players the opportunity to make even more things. So they actually ended up making a plugin hub, and this plugin hub has a bunch of different quality of life things. So we're actually going to use one today. One other fellow player, Scaper, made a model extractor where you can basically now go into the game, install the plugin, and now you should be able to export any model you want. It'll give you an OBJ file and you can put it right into Blender or whatever 3D software you choose to use. So now let's try and find a model that we can extract to use for our graphic. So let's see here. Oh, this guy's a classic. Now I know we're gonna need some gnome ballers. I'll definitely get the gnome ballers, but I'm sure at some point you have seen at least the gnome child one time on the internet. It's a very iconic character. Let me see if I can get his. Yeah, so I'm sure, oh. So yeah, right here you can see the gnome child's face. At some point you had to have seen this. Very iconic, if not good for you for not seeing it. Anyway, I'm gonna grab this guy's model. So I'm gonna right click and export the model. Cool, now I can throw it in the Blender and we're good to go. I will have the exact model from the game. All right, so here we are, we got our model loaded up in the Blender, and can we just take a moment to just appreciate like this is what we loved back then. This was the stuff. We have our model here. I've cleaned it up just a hair just to make sure there's no lighting issues or any kind of craziness. And we're going to use what I call an absolute cheat code for anyone who's an animator but not really an animator. So this is Mixamo. It is an Adobe product that basically will rig and automatically animate your model for you. Now this is something that every person should probably learn, but I will say it saves a ton of time if you're just looking for some poses or different stills that you can kind of nab from these animations. You're very limited to what you can get, but I will say it is a great tool for any videographer trying to break into rigging and simple animation. So we have him here, and Mixamo is awesome because it will basically kind of make rigging such an easy process, which I know is by no means an easy process. So here we go. Let's put his wrist, his elbows, his chin, his groin, and finally we'll throw his knees on there. And him being an older style model, he actually does not have fingers, so that makes it so his hands don't go all crazy should we need an animation with hands. So we'll click next, and now it'll basically take a couple minutes to auto rig, and we'll have a riggable model already. All right, and here we go. We have our rigging complete. You can see we have him in kind of idle stage. We'll click next, and boom, we have our model ready to be rigged and animated. So let's see here. There's so many cool ones. Like imagine this this gnome walking up on you like this. It's absolutely insane. I cannot imagine where this goes for in the future. But for right now, let's see here. Let's take him at a little bit of a defeated look. He is facing off against Media Kingdom's finest gnome baller. Yeah, I think something like that we could totally work with. So we're gonna download this FBX file, and we're gonna throw it into Blender now. Okay, so we have him back in Blender now. I've put up kind of a really basic lighting and camera system so we can get some nice stills. So we have them all keyframed out, so if we were to play this from right here, we have them all set. So let's see what pose we want him to have. Yeah, maybe something like that. Awesome. So now I have rigged the model and I have animated the model, and now I'm about to export a fully rendered image of exactly what I need right there. And there he is. Now I have a couple more I have to export, and then I'm gonna start putting my masterpiece together here.
Reckless is down. The LPL has never won before.
Esports, huh? Growing scene with endless possibilities. Branding as an org has never been more important, but looking at a lot of esports branding, I've been noticing a pattern. Text, decals, background, a player's headshot. There, we've got an esports graphic. But I feel like we can do a lot more with what we've already got instead of trying to look like we're making something for a cereal box. Let's go. So today we're starting from scratch. We're creating a brand identity and a graphic to go alongside it. To start things off, we're gonna need a name for the team, and we're gonna go as simple as we possibly can. Team She Does. This brand's identity will be based off me. So how are we gonna do that? What is the color scheme gonna look like? Well, red and black. Do I need to tell you why? So we found our colors. What's next? I was thinking we should go along with creating something based off the video game League of Legends and work alongside its assets. Now, why don't we do something with a specific champion? Maybe make one of them like a mascot of ours. A mascot is something to usually represent the brand's identity, but seeing as we're adding an already existing mascot to our lineup, we're adding on to the brand's identity as well. With abilities such as Knuckle Down, Haymaker, and Facebreaker, our graphics are gonna need to be a little bit badass. Welcome to Toby's Media Kingdom Sports Graphic, featuring Set, the Boss. So what we're making today is a victory screen after a best of 5 series. With Set as our mascot, we've got to make it as though he's been running over the rift. We're going to turn the rift from a sunny place with bright colors to a dark night with a little bit of added chaos. Set and Jin were rendered out models out of Blender to make them easier to work around instead of either green screening them both or masking them out. This is due to the low quality that the characters are rendered in within the game. As for the programs, all we're going to use today is basically Photoshop and Blender, as well as some in-game footage. Red and black are going to be the name of the game, but we're not only going to use that, due to what I was talking about earlier with esports graphics kinda looking the same nowadays. It's usually a 3-way color grading that designers use, so we're not going to do that today, even though, I kind of like it, but it is what it is. I also want to touch on the subject as of why we're picking League of Legends out of all esports titles today. I did say that we're going to use whatever game's assets as much as possible due to the fact that I feel like the designers are missing out. League of Legends has so much variety with its content, and I feel like it's almost a crime not to include it in your graphics. The game also used to be a passion of mine for about 5 years, with me even making online video content about it. With the struggle of staying within the borders of Diamond, I played this game every day, so it only felt as though it was right for me to make this related to it. I totally wasn't originally going to make a graphic about Valorant and ordered a costume that got here was too big and I scrapped the whole idea. No. Not at all. So now that we've got our mascot, theme, color scheme, and the name of the team, all we gotta do now is to do some fine-tuning to this piece and send it over to the boss. And no, I'm not talking about set.
Wait, hold up. Are we getting paid for this?
Okay, graph. Sport. Sport. Graph? Graph sport. No. Okay, so sports and graphs don't exactly work like that. But sports is something that I like watching growing up. If it was football, basketball, baseball, any competition, I'm there watching. And the best is when 2 skill levels compete one-on-one, you get some great entertainment. But what's not great entertainment is stats. Sometimes speaking with numbers can get real boring, and the announcer has to come in and hype it up. But what if we could hype it up just by the graphic itself? We did an event with Community Comp showing off the players' hype videos, and that was pretty cool. But what if we could make the stats pretty cool? If I'm going to do a graphic, I need a sport. Esports has been blowing up lately. And better yet, FPSs. So I am going to do a CSGO graphic. Now, CSGO has been a game that I've been playing since 2014. Now, my skill isn't there, but I do enjoy going back to it. Now, if you don't know what CSGO is a 5v5 tactical shooter. You have a team of defenders who defend a bomb site or hostages, and you have a team of attackers who strategize on taking over the objectives. Because this game is so technical, there's a lot of stats that can show off the skilledness of the player. So, this is the graphic I'm going to do for our esport player. Number 1, kill death ratio. We gotta know if this esport player is actually really good at killing people, and let alone how many deaths they're getting per round. Number 2, headshot percentage. Now in this game, headshots are a one-hit kill, depending on the weapon. The better your accuracy at the head, the better you are eliminating the enemy. Number 3, clutch success. Now, there's situations that you could be in where it's going to be a situation not only a 1v1, but it could go up to a 1v5. And depending on how well you are in those clutch success in a situation of defending or attacking. And number 4, we're going to be talking about entry success. Now, this is where the team playing aspect comes in. How well is you and your teammates taking over the objective? And number 5, I'm going to do a little sprinkle onto this graphic and adding their favorite choice of weapon. It could be a pistol, it could be an AK-47. Okay, so now that we have our stats for our graphics done, we need an athlete to showcase these skills. And we have one. Cord. If you ever watch esports events, when they showcase the players, they're kind of doing the generic poses. Cross arms, no emotion. That's okay. It's a little if you ask me. So, I want a little bit more emotion coming through. I want a little bit more looking away, looking at them, maybe some finger guns, something to get more energy out there, showing case not only the player of the skills, but also their personality that aligns with it. Now that we got our graphic and our poses, now let's talk about how we're going to be shooting the photos. Now I'm going to go more of a practical route in adding a smoke grenade into our photo shoot. Now you could do it in post and adding smoke there, but I want to have more control where I want the smoke at and the pose at the same time. Got a little smoky back there, but that's okay. Let's jump right into this graphic. Graphic I'm doing for is actually not, or the stream itself is not 4K, it's actually 1080. That's going to be totally fine, because what we could do is now we could scale down. 3840 by 2160 is still a 16 by 9, just like 1920 by 1080. So something that you just want to consider when you're making these graphics is not only the size of the stream, but also the ratios, right? If you have a 1:1 ratio when you're doing a graphic, you can't merge it into a 16 by 9. You're gonna have issues with that. If we're looking at the photo, we're gonna have our graphic here, but I feel like there's not enough smoke around Cord. We only got it on this one side. So I wanna add smoke into this photo. Now the thing is that I don't actually have stock photos of smoke or dust. What I do have is video. And what I could go is I could go into my video editor, and then we're gonna scrub to the point where I think is a good smoky thing. So I noticed that in this video, the smoke comes in, but then it leaves this great silhouette right in the middle, leaving smoke on the left and smoke on the right. This is perfect what I'm looking for. So I like this, what I'm gonna do, so I'm just gonna right click, grab still. Okay, so when we're doing graphics, you wanna make sure that it's not only what we're trying to say is showing the stats and making it look cool, but we also need to make sure it's readable. It's not too hard seeing it with our eyes, and that we can understand the information. That is something that you want to consider when you're making the graphic. What's the stats that we're showing off? And so something that I want to do here is I want to show off the good highlights of Cord's stats, but also mix in his other stats in there. Okay, so now it's all finished. I added some textures into the graphic. I changed up a little bit of the colors just to make sure it all blends. And like I said, the biggest thing about making graphics is to make sure it's not an eyesore. You want to make sure that you can read what the information is there, not only for the font, the size of the font, but also the colors, so it's not all blending in. Because it's all completed now, it's time to send it off the mat.
Got it. So, been 2 weeks. Everyone's been hard at work making some amazing sports graphics. Let's take a look at them. Nick?
Yes. So, are you guys ready? Here is my graphic.
Ooh. I love that color scheme.
X. So, my goal here was to try to highlight his biggest things for his stats, and then the smallest stuff is where he's weak in that. So his kill death is a little lower, but his headshot percentage is really good. And then your favorite is...
I mean, I think I love the color scheme. The logo up top really is so cool, man. Like, Cord EX. Like,
Oh, that's me to a T right
and so
there.
the smoke too. Like, I just now recognize the smoke over there on the side. That is sick.
Yeah. So that little background there that's a blend of our real smoke and then that fake smoke that I put in just to fill in the little blank.
I like it, man. I think it works on a bunch of different levels. Cord, if that's not your profile pic in a couple days.
I've never looked so good.
So do I need to go to Cord to get boosted on CSGO? Is that what I'm seeing?
Cord, yeah, you do have
Man's
a
got a
nasty
profile
range.
and a half.
Awesome. Well, speaking of having a nasty CSGO, how about we look at your graphic next, buddy?
So I've been on a little bit of a League of Legends grind as of recently, and I figured I might as well make a graphic for just that today. So here we have
Whoa.
Set the Boss.
Oh my god, dude, that's my favorite league champ. Dude, I'm in there. Wait. And there's a,
You are correct.
dude, this is sick.
I'm loving it.
So if we're even from like the details up top where it says the invitational, like,
Oh shit.
yeah, I'm just seeing all the small little details. There's an ADC in the background dying too. Like, how accurate is that?
The main thing that I wanted to work around when it came to the sports graphic was that I tried my hardest to stray away from the average esports organization's posts. So basically no decals, no like random background, no graffiti, nothing like that. No logos, we just use the game's assets. And I think focusing on Set as a mascot really paid off for an organization of my own. So basically the teams that are playing is my team and it's Matt's team. And obviously I'm gonna smash Matt in any game whatsoever, so you know, I could have put 3-0, but I was nice and I put a 3-2 in there, and you know.
Listen, I think this works on so many different levels, like from the foreground to the background to, and I noticed like all the small details from the color correcting to like, especially polishing up the model, like it's really good, man.
Yeah, I like the
Thank you.
composition.
All right, well, that leaves one graphic left.
Okay.
I did a little bit over and beyond, so I made 2 graphics.
Whoa.
So, like I said, I really wanted to work in Blender for this one a lot.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. What the fuck?
That's great.
So I really took like a more realistic view to it all. And yeah, I'm a little bit disturbed, but at the same time, I absolutely love it. And so I also wanted to do one for the community. So I made a second one, kind of featuring more of the in-game characters, some popular content creators, and some old history of some characters. So it was
the Naruto run.
yeah. So I was able to go into Blender and kind of really pose them how I wanted to and export some really nice JPEGs. And these are actual models from inside the game. So it made for some really good stuff.
Can we go back to the first one?
Yeah.
I really love the blur that you have on Cord. It really looks like he's coming in fast.
Oh, look at that air.
Slam.
Now, that's not your profile pic, I would. This was stage 1. Very
Okay.
rough, MS Paint looking thing. And then I went and got in-game snapshots of it, which was like initially how I was gonna go about this until I was like, what would a realistic setting start to look like? And then, you know, you add the polish on top of it all and you get the final graphic.
Nice.
The shading is just chef's kiss.
I genuinely think like you couldn't have done it like any better. Genuinely speaking.
You guys did it. You made some very unique one-of-one graphics. Let us know what you thought of them down in the comments.
This was our first challenge video, one of very many to come. If you have any ideas on any content or challenges to do in the future, leave them in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, and follow us. We'll see you the next time.